Yeah, here we go again. Here's the control box. So I basically ripped everything that was in here out. I've got a cord with 3 conductors here that's going up into there. I've got all of the wires that were coming into here. They were coming in through here. And let me see if I can get this closed. And I took the, that was good. I took the little limit switch thingy. So this thing off temporarily so I could get to my limit switches. It actually went on like so. So you've got a micrometer adjustable thing here so you can dial in your up and down. This interfaces with this switch, and then this one is your up travel limit. So what I've got is when the round comes down, depending on where you adjust it, you're going to hit this switch. So this is a normally open switch, so when you hit it, you close the terminals. This is a normally closed switch, so the circuit is normally working through this switch, and then when you hit it, it opens the terminals. So there's that. I don't think I'm going to use either of these just yet. So originally you'd hit this and it would turn the motor on. So what I've done is I'm going to wire probably this up switch in, maybe, I don't know, and I wired this switch in. So this was a fuse type deal, and I've taken it out. So everything in here was 110. So there's a big contactor, there's contactors that were in it, and then just a whole bunch of wires that were going everywhere. So because I'm going to 12 volts, obviously these contactors aren't going to work. These are 110, and I may have been able to make them work, but I don't quite understand those yet. So one of the things I'm going to do is take these and put them on my workbench and take a multimeter and play with them and see exactly how those work. But here's your foot pedal, and what I've done is I've wired everything down this side of the strip. So this is going to give me the ability to tie into this side and do what I need to do. I took a multimeter and I found that this is my common wire, and this is, and I just did 2 and 1. So 2 is my normally open switch here, and 1 is my normally closed switch here. So what I'm going to do now that I've taken all this out, and that's where that used to be, it was like right here, and then there were some contactors here. I'm going to basically make myself a relay panel, and this is just going to be temporary just to make it work kind of the way it used to work, albeit probably quite a bit slower. Okay, now up here, this is the return to tank. And so what I've done is I've made a cable here that comes around to this T. And this is a mess, but I'm just trying to figure out how this works. So it's kind of temporarily up here. This and this tee off to these 2 ports here. So this is my power beyond and my return to tank valve. This is my pump, not valve, port. So this one goes back to here. And right now I've got this teed to where I can look at wherever it went, that pressure gauge. Eventually I'm going to put a sensor here, but for now I'm just going to use that pressure gauge so I can see pressure. And then this goes to my compressor, and then this right here goes into the tank. So essentially this wire is my ground, and then I've got it jumpered over to the other ground on the other side. This is connected where? To the black wire and the white wire. So the white wire and my black wire are my 2 12-volt directionals. So essentially I apply 12 volt here. It's going to go one way. I apply 12 volt back here. It'll go the other way. and then the green one is my ground. I know that doesn't follow the DC wiring stuff, but I really don't care. It works, and I know what it does. So, but yeah, there's the hydraulic system. And this will be where the electrical system goes. I need 12 volts. So what I'm doing is using an old computer power supply. I've taken the end two, so there's two wires that you can see I clipped right here. If you short these two wires, it basically turns it on. So this will I just shorted them, twisted them together, and threw some tape on it for now. Again, I'm going to do something different than this. This is just temporary. I need a 12 volt supply. This was cheap and readily available. So I'm going to set this up to where when I throw power to this, it gives me 12 volts here. This is my signal wire that goes up into here. That's going to tell me to turn the motor on and off. So basically I can flip this on. I can flip that on, and when I have power applied, it's going to tell the VFD to spin the motor up. So that's going to be my motor enable and disable. And what I'm going to do, and I haven't done it yet, but I've got to figure out which one of these wires is my e-stop. So I've got an e-stop right here. So I'm going to set that up to where if I hit that, it shuts everything down. So that will cut everything off for me as soon as I do that, ideally. Right now the RAM has dropped as low as it basically can. So I've got to get it where it will come back up. So I'm going to probably power this up here in a little bit. Oh, and this is so this is the return to tank, and it actually goes through this flow valve here where you can actually speed up or slow down your flow. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this. I'm probably just going to leave it on fast because I'm already going to be creeping along with this thing. So yeah, that's what you got. So now what I've got to do, all of this is, essentially done, just needs to be tidied up. But this is my next hurdle. So I've got to figure out how to use the normally open and normally closed, there you go, had you crooked, connectors here, which correlate to these switches, to where I want to be able to press this foot pedal, which is going to close these two contacts, these two wires here. Just all it is a switch. So I want to be able to close this with my foot and the RAM go down. So essentially it throws power to one of those connectors. I don't know which one yet, but one of those connectors. And when it comes down, something is going to hit this, depending on where I set it. And when this, which is normally open, closes, I want it to throw power to a different relay, which will then redirect my power from the downstroke over to the upstroke, which will then redirect the RAM back up until it hits the normally connected. And when it hits that, it shuts it down. So the problem is when it hits this and shuts it down, I won't be able to move it unless I figure out another way around that. So I've got to figure that out. I think what I'm going to have to do is a series of holding relays. So essentially when you hit this, and I've got to set it up to where when you press this pedal, as soon as you let go, everything stops. No matter what it's doing, no matter what holding relays, everything has to be fed through that pedal. If this pedal gets let go of, I want the entire thing to stop. If the e-stop gets pressed, the entire thing needs to stop. So I've got to figure out how to do that. And I don't know what this switch does yet. I've got to figure that one out as well. So I've just got to get in here and figure that out. So what I think I might do right now, our press brake at the office, you've got it down with another up over here. So you've got two pedals in your doodad. What I want to do is be able to go down, but then maybe have a toggle switch somewhere that I can flip. And when I flip that toggle switch, when I hit this, it goes up. So I want to be able to go down with the realm. I want to be able to press, go down, hit this switch. It automatically redirects and goes up. So I can set it to do that. So that's where I'm at right now. I've still got a ways to go, but I'm getting there finally. So we'll see what happens. I think I might get my power probe out and just manually for now see if I can get the RAM to go all the way up. And that way at least I'll figure out which one of these two wires is my up and which one is my down. So we'll see. But yeah, there you go. So any questions or comments or better ways to do this, let me know. Eventually, right now I'm using relays because I've got a ton of 12 volt relays, but eventually I want to replace all of that with a PLC. And when I replace all that with a PLC, I'll probably come down here and put another CNC control computer down here. So my CNC controls will be back here that uses all of those linear rails and everything and motors, and that's what's actually going to drive all of this. So I'm actually going to get rid of these, I think, or I may actually, because they're already here, I may loosen these bolts down here and drop these and see how far these will go down. It looks like I can go down another, well, however far that is, 6 inches. So depending on how that's going to work, that may give me the ability to drop this down far enough to have my R-axis far enough down. Now, if it doesn't, another thing I could do is take these off and make a bracket that extends up to where I can drop these down even further. And if I do that, then this can be the base of my rails. Now, another thing I could do is put my linear rails on the side here to where it rolls my, I think it's my Z axis would roll forward and backwards this way. And then my R axis would go up and down. And then my two X axes would go this way and this way. And I think I may set my other finger to just manual control. I'm not sure about that or not. I don't know if I want to go that route or not yet. Because that would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I would actually need a 5-axis controller for that, and I only have 4-axis controllers right now. I do have a couple of 6-axis controllers, so I may fiddle with that, because another thing I thought about doing is setting up another axis here to where instead of using that piece down here, I could just have a small ball screw that I could advance and adjust and have a 0 point to where I could come down and just literally give it G-code that would make it go up or down here. So I could change my position here, but I don't know if I want to do that yet. So honestly, what I want to do is set it up by pressure, which would be using this port here and that sensor. So this is essentially a potentiometer. You've got your, I think this is your ground, that's your power in, and I think this will go, I think, to 24 volts. So you would put 24 volts here, ground here, and depending on your pressure reading, your output voltage would come out of this wire. So this is your sensor wire, and essentially it would be anywhere from 0 to 24 volts depending on how much pressure was on this. Using that, you should be able to set a pressure rating. So, you know, when I get to 12.5 volts, go back up. You know, something along those lines. I don't know yet. I did just realize this only goes to 3,000 PSI. I'm not sure how many PSI I'm actually going to be running on this. I know my pump will supposedly do 3,600, but I'm not sure exactly what the original pump actually put out. Oh, I'm going to probably set my set my relief valve low at first and then work it up depending on how much it needs to go. I wish there was a way I could put something in here to see what the actual tonnage is, some kind of a sensor that you could maybe put between the rim and the bottom thing, to where you could say put X number of PSI, which would relate to, say 12.2 volts, and it would actually come down enough to say, 12.2 volts is this many tons. So it's like, I don't know if they make that, but if somebody makes like a sensor that I could put in here that would handle 45 tons of force or more, to where I could actually, make me 2 plates and put the sensor in the middle and then mash down and see what my actual voltage readings are, to where I could actually map the output of the sensor with the output of the other sensor to go, okay, maybe this sensor would tell me, hopefully some kind of a known value that this much pressure is this many tons or whatever. I thought about trying to figure out a way to use a torque wrench to figure that out, but one of those electric torque wrench deals, they're like this big, they go on the end of a torque or a regular ratchet, and they've got some kind of a resistance circuit built into them. So the more they mash, it'll give you some kind of a value of torque. So I may set something up like that and figure out a way to use that, but I just don't know. So anyway, that's where I'm at with this thing. I am still where I was with the lathe. I've not done anything with it, but I want to see this thing run. So I think I'm going to call it a night for now. I've done enough damage for the day. I'm going to figure out how to mount that tomorrow. And I may just kind of temporarily mount it. I don't know. Run my 12 volts in to here, so I'll have a place to put my 12 volts. And what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and just go to my computer and work on a circuit design. Oh, that's bright. For using my relays, and hopefully figure out what I need to do from there. So I guess we'll see how that works out. But anyway, you guys have a great night. And any questions or suggestions, I'm totally open to suggestions if there's a better way to do this. So shoot me a comment if you see a better way to do it. Have a great day. Bye.